Welcome back to the series of AWS training sessions. I'm Sridhar. So in the last session, we have created the two EC2 instances. One is the Linux instance and the other one is the Windows instance. And now we'll see how we can connect to these instances. So to connect to the EC2 instance, which is Linux based, we are going to use the Putty. And before even using Putty, what we should do is we have to generate the private key for Putty by using the PE private key which is being downloaded. So when we created the EC2 instance, we created the private key, and that private key is with the extension PEM, and that PEM file we need to convert to the PPK file which can be used to log in through the Putty. And for the file conversion, we are going to use a tool called as a Puttygen. So this is the Putty key generator, and by using this Putty key generator, we have to convert that file, the private key which we have, to the PPK file which can be used in Putty. So first thing is, what we should do is we have to click this load button to load the private key file which we downloaded while creating the instance. While creating EC2 instance, we downloaded the private key, and that private key we have to select here, and then by using that we have to generate the PPK key. So now I'm clicking the load and select all files. This is the private key which is being downloaded from AWS console while creating the instance. So I'm going to select this, open, OK, and save private key. And when we save this private key will be saved as a PPK file, Putty private key file, because we can only use this Putty private key files, PPK files, in Putty to log into the Linux instances. So I'm going to give the same name like EC2, but with the extension PPK. So now we already got the private key. Now next thing is we can connect it to the EC2 instance, and now we don't need the Putty key generator. So now by using the public IP address, as I said before, either we can use the public IP address or public DNS to connect to this EC2 instance. Now because I have the public IP address, I'm going to use this public IP address. I just copied this public IP address and opening the Putty. So Putty is a tool with which we can log into the EC2 instances. We can connect to EC2 instances. We can SSH into the instances. So now I'm going to paste this IP address, and next is I just need to open SSH because I need to supply the private key. So under SSH there is something called as auth, and this is where we have to specify the authentication file, that is the private key file. So after selecting this authentication, here there is a browse button, and just click on the browse, and just go to the location where we saved the private key, the PPK file. Select this PPK file, open. We can click open here to connect it to that EC2 instance, but before that I'm going to save this session. So going back to the session, and I'm just going to save the session with name my training session, so that every time we don't have to supply that private key, we can just load it from this session. I'm going to save the session and open. So here we got a security alert, just ignore that and click yes. And now it's asking for the login. See here, you see the IP address like 54.175.61.131. This is the public IP address of our EC2 instance, and this public IP address is being assigned by the Amazon when we created the instance. And for Amazon Linux, we took the image of Amazon Linux, and for Amazon Linux or CentOS or Red Hat Linux, the default user will be like EC2-user. So this is the default user. For Ubuntu, it's going to be Ubuntu, but for CentOS, Red Hat, and Amazon Linux, the default user is going to be like EC2 user. Enter the EC2 user and click yes, and now we are logged into this EC2 instance. And from here we can do whatever we want. We can just download the packages, install, configure, and everything. So this is the way we can connect to the EC2 instances of Linux by using the public IP address and by using the private key. Okay, next thing is we'll see how we can connect to the Windows instances. So the other instance which we created is the Windows instance. So for Windows instance, we have to use RDP, the remote desktop connection, or we can use any other third-party tools to remote desktop into the Windows instances. And here to connect to the Windows instances, what we should do is just select the Windows instance and click the connect button here. So what we should do is with the Windows instance it's different, because for Linux instance we are generating the Putty private key, and by using the private key we are connecting into the EC2 instance by using Putty. But for Windows we cannot use the private key directly. So by using the private key we have to decrypt the password, and that password has to be used while connecting to the EC2 instance, the Windows instance. So first select the Windows instance and click connect button, and here we got some information like public DNS, username is administrator, the default username for Windows system is administrator, and we have to generate or decrypt the password. And how we should decrypt the password is by using the private key. While creating an EC2 instance, we downloaded the private key, that is the PEM file, and by using the PEM file we can decrypt the password. So I'm just clicking the get password button. So here you can read the information like we have to select or we have to choose a file, ec2 private key.pem file, in order to generate the password. So we can click choose file and select the file, and then decrypt password is going to get the password. So I'm going to do the same now. So I click the choose file button, and here I'm going to select the private key, the PEM file, not the PPK file. PPK file is only used for Putty, that is a Putty private key. Other than that, for Windows we have to use the PEM key, and I'm going to select the PEM key and click open. So this is the private key, and I can just use decrypt password to decrypt the password. So now we got the password. So to connect to the Windows EC2 instance, we need either the public IP address or domain name. We have the public IP address here and the domain name also. Either we can use public IP address or domain name, and the username is administrator, and the password is this one. So by using these details, now we can RDP or connect remote desktop into the Windows instance. Connect button, and now we are connecting into the remote desktop of our Windows instance, which is there on the Amazon cloud. So it takes a couple of minutes to log into the EC2 instance. Yeah, now we are logged into the EC2 instance. See here, if we see this is the domain name we used, and the username is administrator, and the password is the one which we decrypted by using the private key. So this is how we can connect to the Windows and the Linux instances. That's it for this session, and we'll see in the next session. Thank you.